Sterile rich man finds begging child crying from hunger and takes him in as his own. Michael Thompson abruptly stopped his imported car when he spotted a small figure curled up on the sidewalk. The boy, about 7 years old, was crying desperately, his thin hands pressed against his empty stomach. The businessman had just left the clinic where he received the most painful confirmation of his life. He could never have children. The tests were clear about his sterility. At 42, his dreams of fatherhood were shattered forever. "Please, sir, I'm so hungry," the child whispered as Michael approached. The boy had messy brown hair and large eyes that reflected deep sadness. His clothes were dirty and torn, showing he'd been living on the streets for days. "How long has it been since you ate?" Michael asked, crouching beside the boy. "I don't know, sir. A long time." Michael felt a tightness in his chest. The situation touched something deep in his heart, still raw from the medical news. "What's your name?" "Ethan, sir. Ethan Miller." "Where are your parents, Ethan?" The boy lowered his head, tears falling harder. "My mum. She left. Said she'd come back, but it's been days." Michael looked around. The busy streets of New York City were filled with hurried people who ignored the child completely. "And your father?" "I never knew him, sir." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, back to the story. Michael felt an inexplicable connection to this abandoned boy. Maybe it was fate's cruel timing, finding an orphaned child right after learning he'd never be a father. "Come with me, Ethan. Let's get you something to eat." The boy's eyes lit up for the first time. "Really, sir?" "Really." Michael took Ethan to a nearby restaurant. As they ate, he watched the boy savor every bite with touching gratitude. Ethan ate slowly, treasuring each mouthful as if it were his last. "Ethan, tell me more about your mom. What was she like?" The boy paused for a moment. "She was pretty, sir. Had long hair and a beautiful smile. But sometimes she got really sad and cried in secret." "Did she work?" "Sometimes she'd leave at night and come back in the morning. Said she had to work to take care of us." Michael sensed there was much more to the story. The child spoke with a maturity beyond his years. "Ethan, where did you live?" "In a little house in Queens. But I left a long time ago." "Why?" "After my mom left, a really angry man came. He yelled and said if I didn't leave, he'd hurt me." Michael's heart ached even more. What kind of life had this child endured? "So you've been on the streets since then?" Ethan nodded, his eyes welling up again. "I have nowhere to go, sir." Michael made a decision that would change both their lives forever. "Ethan, how about you come home with me tonight? You can take a bath, sleep in a real bed." The boy looked at him in disbelief. "You'd do that for me?" "I would." Michael's home was a mansion in the Upper East Side. Ethan's jaw dropped at the sight of the electronic gate, the manicured garden, and the grand house. "Wow, it's so big," the boy said, amazed. Mrs. Dorothy, the housekeeper who had worked for Michael for 15 years, greeted them with surprise. "Mr. Thompson, who is this boy?" "Mrs. Dorothy, this is Ethan. He'll be staying with us for a while." The 65-year-old woman looked at Ethan with motherly warmth. Dorothy had never married or had children, dedicating her life to domestic work. "My goodness, what a skinny child. Let's give you a bath and find some clean clothes for you, my dear." Ethan still looked around in amazement. He had never seen such a luxurious house. "Mr. Michael, why are you being so kind to me?" Michael didn't know how to answer. He didn't fully understand his own motivations. "Sometimes life puts people in our path who need our help, Ethan." After the bath, Dorothy managed to find some clothes from old donations. Ethan looked like a completely different child when he came downstairs clean and properly dressed. "You look very handsome, my dear," said Dorothy, combing the boy's hair. Michael watched the scene and felt a strange emotion. It was as if a missing piece of his life was finally falling into place. "Ethan, are you still hungry?" "I'm always hungry, Mr. Michael." Dorothy prepared a special dinner. Ethan ate politely, but Michael could tell he was trying hard not to show how starved he was. "Eat as much as you want, Ethan. There's plenty of food here." "Thank you, Mr. Michael. You're the kindest person I've ever met." That night, Michael prepared the guest room for Ethan. The child was amazed by the soft bed, clean sheets, and cozy atmosphere. "Can I really sleep here, Mr. Michael?" "Of course. This is your room now." "My room?" "That's right." Ethan hugged Michael tightly. "Thank you so much. I promise I'll be a good boy." Michael felt his eyes well up. How long had it been since he felt so needed, so important to someone? In the middle of the night, Michael was awakened by screams coming from Ethan's room. He rushed in and found the boy having nightmares, thrashing and shouting in bed. "Ethan, Ethan, wake up!" The child woke up frightened, his face covered in cold sweat. "Mr. Michael, I dreamed the bad man came back to take me." "What bad man, Ethan?" "The man who always showed up at our house. He was very angry with my mum and me." Michael sat on the edge of the bed and held the boy's hand. "You don't need to be afraid. You're safe here." "You won't send me away?" "Never, I promise." Ethan gradually calmed down and fell back asleep. Michael stayed for a few minutes, watching the child's peaceful face and wondering what traumas he carried. The next morning, Michael decided to take Ethan shopping for clothes and other necessities. At the mall, the child was amazed by everything. "Can I pick any clothes, Mr. Michael?" "Of course, Ethan." The boy chose only the essentials, always asking about prices and worrying about spending too much. "Ethan, you don't need to worry about money. Pick whatever you like." "But I don't want to take advantage of your kindness, Mr. Michael." Michael was touched by the child's consideration. Ethan showed manners and maturity that contrasted with his life on the streets. At lunch, while they ate, Ethan asked a question that left Michael thoughtful. "Mr. Michael, why don't you have children?" Michael swallowed hard. How could he explain to a child that he had just discovered his inability to be a father? "Sometimes things don't happen the way we plan, Ethan." "Did you want to have children?" "Very much." "Then why don't you adopt a child? There are so many children who need a family." The innocence of that question struck Michael like lightning. Ethan had no idea he was voicing exactly what the businessman had been thinking. "That's a good question, Ethan. If you adopted a child, would you be like a real father?" "I would. Love doesn't depend on blood." Ethan smiled. "Then can I pretend you're my dad?" Michael felt his heart race. "Why would you want that?" "Because you take care of me, you give me food, you protect me. That's what a father does, right?" Michael could barely contain his emotions. "Yes, Ethan, it is." "So can I call you Dad?" "You can." Ethan beamed with joy. "Thank you, Dad." That word sounded like music to Michael's ears. For the first time in his life, someone had called him Dad. In the days that followed, Michael and Ethan settled into a routine. The businessman would go to work in the morning, and Ethan would stay with Mrs. Dorothy, who turned out to be wonderful company for the boy. "Mrs. Dorothy, can I help in the kitchen?" Ethan asked every day. "Of course, my dear. I'll teach you how to make a delicious cake." Ethan learned everything with impressive ease. Within days, he knew the whole household routine and even helped with chores. "This boy is an angel, Mr. Thompson," Mrs. Dorothy remarked. "I've never seen a child so polite and helpful." Michael had also noticed Ethan's exceptional intelligence. The boy memorized numbers, names, and routines with surprising ease. "Ethan, have you ever been to school?" "My mom taught me to read and write a little, but I've never gone to school." "How about we start looking for a school for you?" Ethan's eyes lit up. "I can go to school?" "Of course you can. Every boy has the right to an education." "Thank you, Dad. I promise I'll study really hard." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just getting started. Now, back to the story. Michael began the process of finding the best school for Ethan. He wanted the boy to have the best educational opportunities. During one of their school visits, the principal asked a question that made Michael uncomfortable. "Mr. Thompson, what exactly is your relationship with Ethan? We need the proper documentation to enroll him." Michael realized there was a problem. He had no legal documents authorizing him to make decisions for Ethan. He's under my temporary care. I see, but for enrollment, we need documentation from his parents or legal guardians. The situation left Michael worried. He would need to formalize Ethan's status if he wanted the boy to have access to education and basic services. That night, Michael talked to Ethan about the need to officially search for his mother. "Ethan, we need to try to find your mom to sort out your situation." The boy looked visibly distressed. "But what if she doesn't want me to stay here with you?" "If she shows up, we'll talk to her, but you need documents to go to school." "Dad, I don't want to leave. I feel safe here." "I don't want you to leave either, Ethan. We'll figure this out." Michael decided to hire a private investigator to try to locate Ethan's mother. He needed to know more about the boy's past to make the right decisions. The investigator, Robert Wilson, was a seasoned 50-year-old man who had worked on many similar cases. "Mr. Thompson, I need all the information Ethan can give me about his mother and where they lived." Michael spoke with Ethan, who provided details about their home in Queens. "Ethan, do you remember your mother's name?" Amanda Miller. "Do you remember anything else about her?" Ethan thought for a moment. "She had a small scar on her forehead. She said she got it when she was little." "Anything else?" "Sometimes she talked about a sister who lived far away. She called her Aunt Jennifer." Robert wrote down all the information and promised to start the investigation immediately. While they waited for the results, Michael and Ethan grew closer every day. The businessman discovered that having a child at home completely changed his routine and outlook on life. "Dad, can I go to work with you one day?" asked Ethan. "Would you like to see my company?" "Yes, I want to know everything about what you do." Michael decided to take Ethan to visit his office. The child was amazed by the commercial building and the hustle of the employees. "Wow, so many people work here." "Many, Ethan. Our company handles shipping goods all across the country." Ethan asked smart questions about how the business worked, showing genuine interest. "Dad, when I grow up, can I work here too?" Michael smiled. "If you want, of course. Then I'll study hard to be as smart as you." The employees were surprised to see Michael with a child. He had never brought any family members to the company before. "Mr. Thompson, who is this boy?" asked Linda, his secretary of 10 years. "This is Ethan. He's living with me now." Linda looked curious but didn't ask further questions. She knew Michael was a private person. During lunch, Ethan made an observation that left Michael thoughtful. "Dad, why does everyone call you sir and talk quietly around you?" "That's how people behave at work, Ethan. But at home, you're different. You smile more and talk with me." Michael realized Ethan's presence wasn't just changing his personal life, but also his perspective on relationships in general. "You're right, Ethan. Maybe I need to be less serious at work." "You look nicer when you smile, Dad." That innocent remark touched Michael deeply. How long had it been since he had genuinely smiled? That week, Robert called with the first updates from the investigation. "Mr. Thompson, I've found some leads about Amanda Miller. I managed to locate the address where she lived with Ethan in Queens." "Is she still there?" "No. The neighbors confirmed she disappeared about 2 months ago. She left the house abandoned with some unpaid bills." "Do the neighbors know what happened?" "According to them, Amanda had been acting strangely in the weeks before. She'd leave home for long periods and return very agitated." "What about Ethan?" "They said after his mother disappeared, a man showed up at the house looking for her. When he didn't find her, he started threatening Ethan, saying the boy couldn't stay there." Michael grew worried. "Did you identify this man?" "Still working on it. But it seems Amanda was involved with some questionable people." "Keep investigating, Robert. I need to know the whole truth." That night, Michael decided to talk to Ethan about the discoveries. "Ethan, the investigator found the house where you lived with your mum." The boy tensed up. "And my mum, was she there?" "No, Ethan, she wasn't, but the neighbors confirmed you did live there." "Dad, I'm scared of that man who came. He was really mean. Can you tell me more about him?" Ethan looked visibly frightened. "He always yelled at my mum. Sometimes she'd cry after he left." "What did he look like?" "Tall, strong, and he had a really deep voice. My mom was so afraid of him." "Did he ever hurt you, Ethan?" Not directly, but he said if I told anyone anything, he'd hurt my mom and me. Michael felt anger toward this unknown man who had terrified Ethan. Ethan, you're safe now. That man won't bother you anymore. How can you be sure, Dad? Because I'll protect you. Always. Ethan hugged Michael tightly. I love you, Dad. I love you too, Ethan. It was the first time they had exchanged those words, and both felt the depth of that moment. The next day, Robert called again with more disturbing news. Mr. Thompson, I've uncovered more details about Amanda Miller's situation. What did you find? It appears she was involved in illegal gambling. She owed a considerable amount to dangerous people. Does that explain the man who threatened Ethan? Most likely. These groups often pressure families when they can't collect debts directly from the debtor. What about the sister Ethan mentioned? I'm still searching for Jennifer Miller. There's no record of her in New York City. Keep investigating, Robert. I need to know if Ethan has any relatives who might claim custody of him. Michael was growing more attached to Ethan by the day, and the thought of losing him terrified him. That week, an unexpected event changed the course of things. Michael received a call from a woman who introduced herself as a social worker. Mr. Thompson, my name is Susan Parker. We've received a report that you're keeping a child in your home without legal authorization. Michael was alarmed. A report? From whom? I can't disclose the source, but I need to visit to assess Ethan Miller's situation. When? Later today, if possible. Michael hung up, worried. Who could have made that report? He called Ethan, who was playing in the yard with Mrs. Dorothy. Ethan, come here, I need to talk to you. What's wrong, Dad? You look worried. A social worker is coming to talk to us today. Why? Someone reported that you shouldn't be here. Ethan was terrified. Are they going to take me away? I won't let that happen, Ethan. But we need to be prepared to answer questions. What kind of questions? About how you came here, how I'm taking care of you, if you're happy. Dad, can I tell the truth? Always, Ethan. Always tell the truth. Susan Parker arrived late in the afternoon. She was a serious woman in her 40s with a strict professional demeanor. Mr. Thompson, I need to speak with Ethan alone first. Michael was nervous but agreed. Ethan's in the yard. You can go there. Susan spent nearly an hour talking with Ethan. Michael waited in the living room, trying to imagine what questions she was asking. Mrs. Dorothy was visibly tense. Mr. Michael, what if they take our boy away? It won't happen, Dorothy. Ethan is well cared for here. When Susan returned to the living room, her expression was neutral. Mr. Thompson, Ethan seems well adjusted and cared for, but his situation is irregular. I know. I'm trying to resolve it. Do you have any documents proving your legal authority to care for the child? No. Ethan came to me after being abandoned on the street. I understand, but legally I must place him with a foster family while we search for his relatives. Michael felt his world crumbling. Susan, can I ask for more time to resolve this? How much time? 15 days. I've hired an investigator to find his mother. Susan thought for a moment. Ethan clearly expressed his wish to stay here. That counts in your favor. I'll give you 10 days to settle the situation, but he can't leave the house or start school until this is resolved. After Susan left, Ethan ran to hug Michael. Dad, did she say I can stay? For now, yes, Ethan. But we need to resolve your situation quickly. What do I need to do? Just keep being the wonderful boy you are. That night, Michael called Robert urgently. Robert, I need every piece of information you can find about Amanda Miller in the next 10 days. What happened? The social worker was here. Ethan could be taken away if we don't resolve this. I understand. I'll intensify the investigation. Is there any chance Amanda might be dead? It's a possibility we can't rule out, considering the kind of people she got involved with. Michael swallowed hard. If Amanda were dead, Ethan would officially be an orphan. And if that's the case, then you could file for adoption since the child has no other known relatives. Let's hope you find answers quickly, Robert. The next few days were tense. Michael could barely focus on work, worried about the possibility of losing Ethan. "Dad, you've been acting different," Ethan observed. "Are you worried about me?" "A little, Ethan, but everything will be fine. If they take me away, I'll run and come back home." "That won't be necessary, Ethan. You're my son now, and fathers protect their children." On the 6th day, Robert called with an important discovery. "Mr. Thompson, I found Jennifer Miller." "Amanda's sister?" "Exactly. She lives in Rochester and had no idea Amanda had disappeared." "Does she want to take Ethan?" "I spoke to her on the phone. Jennifer has 4 children of her own and is struggling financially. She said she can't take care of Ethan right now." "What about Amanda?" "Jennifer hasn't spoken to her sister in over 2 years. She said Amanda got involved with the wrong crowd and cut ties with the family." "Is that good or bad for our situation?" "Good. If the closest relative can't care for the child, it makes the adoption process easier." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Michael decided to travel to Rochester to speak with Jennifer Miller in person. "Ethan, I need to take a 2-day trip to sort out your situation." "Can I come with you, Dad?" "Not this time, Ethan, but I promise I'll be back soon." "Do you really promise?" "I promise." The drive to Rochester was agonizing. Michael kept thinking about all the possibilities of what could happen. Jennifer Miller lived in a modest house on the outskirts of town. She was a 35-year-old woman who physically resembled the descriptions Ethan had given of his mother. "Mr. Thompson, I'm Jennifer. Thank you for coming all this way." "Thank you for having me, Jennifer." The house was full of children running and playing. Jennifer's husband worked as a mechanic and the family struggled financially. "Tell me about Ethan. How is he?" "Ethan is a wonderful child. Smart, polite, loving. Just like Amanda when she was little." "What was your relationship like?" Jennifer sighed. "Amanda was always troubled. Even as a teenager, she got involved with the wrong men. I tried to help her many times, but she wouldn't listen." "What about Ethan? Did you know about him?" "I did. Amanda called me when he was born, but then she disappeared. I tried to stay in touch, but she kept changing her number." "Jennifer, Ethan needs a family. I'd like to adopt him, but I need to know if you have any objections." Jennifer looked at her own children playing in the yard. "Mr. Thompson, I'd love to take care of Ethan. He's my nephew. But look at our situation. We can barely provide for our own kids." "I completely understand. Ethan deserves a better life than I could give him. If you can offer him love, education, and stability, you have my blessing. Would you be willing to sign a document stating you're unable to care for him?" "Of course. I'll do anything to ensure Ethan's well-being." Michael returned to New York City with the document signed by Jennifer and a sense of relief. Ethan had been anxiously waiting for him. "Dad, you're back." "I promised I would be." "How was the trip?" "Everything worked out, Ethan. Your Aunt Jennifer sends you a hug and says you're very lucky to have found a family that loves you. She doesn't want me to live with her. She has 4 children of her own and is struggling. She wants you to stay here with us." Ethan hugged Michael tightly. "So, can I really be your son?" "Let's make it official, Ethan." On the 8th day, Robert called with the news Michael both feared and hoped for. "Mr. Thompson, we found Amanda Miller. Where is she?" "At Memorial Medical Center. She's been hospitalized for 3 weeks in critical condition." "What happened to her?" "An overdose. She's in a medically induced coma." Michael felt a mix of sadness and relief. Amanda was alive, but her condition confirmed Ethan couldn't return to her. "What's the prognosis?" "The doctors aren't optimistic. Even if she recovers, she'll have severe long-term effects." "And Ethan's situation?" "With his mother incapacitated and his aunt unable to care for him, the path is clear for adoption." Michael went to the hospital to see Amanda in person. She was a young woman, only 28, but looked much older due to the toll of drugs. Seeing her there, hooked up to machines, Michael felt compassion. This woman had given birth to Ethan, and for that, he would always be grateful. "Amanda, if you can hear me, I want you to know Ethan is safe and loved. I'll take care of him as if he were my own." The next day, Michael scheduled a meeting with Susan Parker to submit all the gathered documentation. Mr. Thompson, I see you've collected a lot of information about Ethan's situation. Yes, his mother is hospitalized in critical condition. His aunt can't care for him, and Ethan has clearly expressed his wish to stay with me. Are you interested in formally adopting Ethan? Very much so. I should clarify it will be a lengthy process. There are evaluations, interviews, home visits. I'm prepared for whatever is necessary. And Ethan, how does he feel about this? Why don't you ask him yourself? Susan called Ethan in to talk. Ethan, Mr. Thompson would like to adopt you. Do you know what that means? Does it mean he'll be my dad forever? That's right. Then I really want to. Are you sure? He's already my dad in my heart. We just need the papers. Susan smiled for the first time since Michael had met her. Then let's begin the adoption process. The following months were filled with intense preparation. Michael underwent psychological evaluations, interviews, and adoptive parent training. Ethan, meanwhile, flourished during this time. He began studying with a private tutor, preparing to enter formal schooling. Dad, I learned how to solve a hard math problem today, Ethan said proudly. What problem? 42 divided by 6. And what's the answer? 7. Very good, Ethan. You're learning fast. It's because I want to be smart like you. During one of the social worker's visits, Ethan made an observation that deeply moved everyone. Ethan, are you happy here? Susan asked. Very happy. Before, I didn't know what having a family was like. Now I do. What's it like to have a family? It's having someone who cares when you're sad, who's happy when you're joyful, who teaches you new things and protects you when you're scared. And does Mr. Thompson do all that? He does. He also gives me love. My mom loved me, but she was always sad. Here, everyone smiles more. Mrs. Dorothy, who was present, couldn't hold back her tears. This boy is a gift from God, she murmured. During this time, Michael also underwent profound changes. He grew closer to his employees, more cheerful, more optimistic. Mr. Thompson, you seem different, commented Linda, his secretary. How so? More human, happier. Ethan brought joy into my life. You can tell. You speak of him with such a sparkle in your eyes. Michael realized that having Ethan had filled a void in his life he hadn't even known existed. 6 months later, the big day arrived. The judge called Michael and Ethan for the final adoption hearing. Ethan Miller, do you want Michael Thompson to be your legal father? Yes, Your Honor. Why? Because he already is my dad. He takes care of me, teaches me things, protects me, and loves me. And you, Michael Thompson, are you prepared to be Ethan's father for the rest of your life? I am, Your Honor. Ethan is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Then by this document I declare that Ethan Miller shall now be known as Ethan Miller Thompson, the legally adopted son of Michael Thompson. Ethan jumped into Michael's arms. Now I'm really your son, Dad. You always were, Ethan, always. Mrs. Dorothy, who was present, wept with emotion. My boys, she said, hugging them both. As they left the courthouse, Ethan asked a question that surprised Michael. Dad, now that I'm officially your son, can I change one thing? What do you want to change? I want you to call me son, not just Ethan. Why, my son? Ethan beamed when he heard that word. Because I've always wanted someone to call me son. Michael knelt to meet Ethan's height. Ethan, you are my son, my beloved, smart, brave son, and I'm so proud to be your father. I'm proud to be your son too, Dad. 2 years later, Ethan had fully adapted to his new life. He attended one of the best private schools in New York City and excelled in every subject. Dad, I won first place in the school math competition, Ethan announced proudly, showing off his medal. Congratulations, son. I'm so proud of you. My teacher said I have a knack for numbers. Maybe you can work with me at the company when you grow up. Or I could study to be a doctor and help other people. Michael smiled. Ethan had developed a strong sense of compassion, always wanting to help those in need. Whatever you choose, son, I'll support you. During a routine hospital visit to oversee a social project sponsored by Michael's company, they passed the ward where Amanda was still hospitalized. Dad, can I see my mum? Ethan asked. Are you sure you want to, son? Yes. I want to show her I'm okay. Amanda had survived but was left with severe disabilities. She couldn't speak or move on her own. "Hi, Mom. It's me, Ethan," the boy said, gently holding her hand. Amanda looked at Ethan with recognition in her eyes. "I'm okay, Mom. I have a family now. This is my dad, Michael. He takes really good care of me." A tear rolled down Amanda's face. "Mom, I forgive you for everything. I know you did the best you could back then." Ethan kissed his mother's forehead. "I'll keep visiting you, okay?" Michael watched the scene with admiration. At 9 years old, Ethan showed remarkable emotional maturity. Leaving the hospital, Ethan was thoughtful. "Dad, can I help other kids who were in the same situation I was?" "What do you mean, son?" "Kids who were abandoned, who don't have families. Can we do something for them?" Michael was moved by his son's generosity. "How about we start a social project to help children in vulnerable situations?" "Really? We can do that?" "Of course. You can be my partner in this project." And so, the Ethan Foundation was born, an organization Michael created to help abandoned children find loving families. "Dad, what should we name our project?" "How about the Ethan Foundation?" "Why my name?" "Because you are proof that an abandoned child can find a family and be truly happy." Ethan hugged Michael. "Thank you for stopping that day to help me, Dad. Thank you for changing my life for the better, son." 5 years later, the Ethan Foundation had already helped over 100 children find adoptive families. Ethan, now 14, was actively involved in the activities. "Dad, the child who arrived yesterday reminds me so much of how I used to be." "How so?" "They're scared, distrustful. They think no one will want to keep them forever." "And what did you tell them?" "That I used to feel the same way, but that there really are special people who know how to love unconditionally. Like you. Like us, Dad. Like our family." During one of the adoption ceremonies organized by the foundation, Ethan gave a speech that moved everyone present. "My name is Ethan Miller Thompson. 7 years ago, I was alone on the street, hungry and hopeless. Today, I have a family who loves me. I study at a good school, and I help other children find the happiness I've found. The difference in my life was a man who stopped his car to help me. That man became my father, my hero, my role model. To the children here today waiting for a family, don't give up. There's someone special waiting to love you. And to the parents adopting, you're receiving a gift. Take good care of it." By the end of the speech, there wasn't a dry eye in the audience. Michael stepped onto the stage and embraced Ethan. "My son, you've taught me that being a father isn't about creating a child. It's about loving, protecting, teaching, and being present. And you've taught me that family isn't about blood, Dad. It's about love, kindness, and care. Ethan, you saved my life just as much as I saved yours." "How so, Dad?" "Before you, I was an empty man, focused only on work. You taught me how to love, to smile, to see beauty in life. Then we were a gift to each other, weren't we, Dad?" "Exactly, son. A gift to each other." At that moment, looking at Ethan on stage, Michael remembered the 7-year-old boy crying on the sidewalk. The transformation had been remarkable for both of them. Ethan had grown into a responsible, studious, and generous young man, always eager to help others, especially vulnerable children. "Dad, I've decided what I want to study in college." "What, son?" "Psychology. I want to work with children who've been through trauma, like I was." "That's a beautiful choice, Ethan. I want to give back all the help I received." "You already do, son, every day, just by being the wonderful person you are." On the day of Ethan's high school graduation, Michael sat in the front row, clapping proudly. "Ethan Miller Thompson, class valedictorian," announced the principal. Ethan stepped onto the stage for his graduation speech. "My classmates, when I was 7 years old, I was alone and abandoned. Today I stand here as our class valedictorian. This was only possible because someone believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. My dad always told me it doesn't matter where we come from, but where we're going. Our story isn't defined by our past, but by the choices we make today. As we head to college, let's carry our dreams and hopes with us. Remember, each of you has the power to change someone's life, just like mine was changed. Thank you, Dad, for stopping that day to help a frightened boy. Thank you for teaching me that love has no limits when it's real." Michael wept with emotion. His son had become an exceptional young man. After the ceremony, father and son walked together through the school parking lot. "Dad, can I confess something?" "Of course, son. Sometimes I'm afraid I'll wake up and discover this was all a dream." "Why, Ethan?" "Because my life is too good to be true. I have a father who loves me, a home and education opportunities. Ethan, this is real. You deserve all this and more." "How can you be so sure?" "Because you're a special person, my son. Kind, smart, generous. Any father would be lucky to have a son like you. Even if I'm not your biological son. Ethan, you are my son in every way that matters. Biology is just genetics. Love is a daily choice, and I choose to love you every day of my life." Ethan hugged Michael tightly. "I choose to love you every day too, Dad." During those years, the Ethan Foundation grew and became a national reference for responsible adoption. Ethan participated actively, even with his busy study schedule. "Dad, what if we expanded the foundation to other cities?" "That's an interesting idea, son. We could help even more children find families. Let's look into that possibility." The foundation not only facilitated adoptions, but also provided psychological support for parents and children during the adjustment process. "Ethan, you have very mature ideas for your age," remarked Dr. Johnson, the psychologist working at the foundation. "It's because I've lived through the experience of being adopted. I know the fears and the struggles. That experience makes you a very special person." "My dad always says our hardships only have value if they help others." While studying psychology in college, Ethan continued working at the foundation and developed innovative methods to assist in the adoption process. "Professor, may I present my research project on late adoption?" Ethan asked during one of his classes. "Of course, Ethan. My research shows that older children have fewer chances of being adopted due to biases. I've developed a protocol to prepare families for late adoption." "That's a very interesting study. Do you have personal experience with this topic?" "I do. I was adopted at 7. "That explains the depth of your research." Ethan graduated with honors in psychology, specializing in child and family therapy. "Dad, I got an offer to work at a renowned clinic." "That's wonderful, son." "But I turned it down." "Why?" "I want to dedicate my time to our foundation. I want to make it even bigger." "Ethan, you could have a brilliant career in clinical psychology." "My brilliant career is helping children find loving families like I did." Michael was moved by his son's determination. "Then let's work together to grow the foundation. What if we created a TV show to raise awareness about adoption?" "That's a bold idea, son." "Finding Family, a show that shares real stories of successful adoptions." "I like it. Let's develop the project." The show Finding Family became a national success. Ethan and Michael appeared as hosts, sharing their own stories and those of other families. "Good evening, America. I'm Ethan Thompson." "And I'm Michael Thompson. We're father and son through adoption. Tonight, we'll share the story of a special family brought together by love." The show touched the entire country and inspired thousands of families to consider adoption. "Ethan, did you ever imagine your story would inspire so many people?" a journalist asked during an interview. "Never. I just wanted other children to have the same luck I did." "And what was your luck?" "Finding a father who loved me from day one, even when I was a stranger to him." "Michael, how does it feel to see your son become such an inspiring person?" "It's the greatest fulfillment of my life. Ethan taught me that true love changes everything." 10 years later, the Ethan Foundation had spread across the entire country. Ethan, now a 27-year-old man, was nationally recognized as an adoption specialist. "Son, you've built something wonderful," said Michael, looking over the Ethan Foundation's annual report. "We built it, Dad. None of this would be possible without you." Over 1,000 children have found families through our work, and each one represents a love story like ours. Ethan had married Jessica, a psychologist he met in college, who shared his passion for helping children. "Ethan, Jessica, I have a surprise for you," Michael said during a family dinner. "What surprise, Dad?" "I've decided to retire and hand over full leadership of the foundation to you." "Dad, are you sure?" "I am. You two are the future of the foundation. I'll still help, but as an advisor." Thank you for trusting us, Dad. Ethan, you gave my life purpose. Now it's your turn to lead. That night, Ethan and Jessica talked about their plans for the Foundation's future. Ethan, what if we created an international adoption exchange program? How so? American families adopting children from other countries and vice versa. That's an interesting idea. Let's look into it. We could also develop an app to connect families and children more efficiently. Jessica, you're brilliant. That's why I married you. And you're the most generous man I know. That's why I married you. A year later, Ethan and Jessica announced they were expecting their first child. Dad, you're going to be a grandfather, Ethan said, beaming. Michael cried with emotion. My first grandchild. Dad, I want you to know this baby will grow up hearing the beautiful story of the grandpa who adopted a boy from the streets. And they'll grow up in a family full of love, just like you did. If it's a boy, we'll name him Michael. Ethan, you don't have to. I want to, Dad. I want your name to live on in our family. And if it's a girl, Dorothy, after our dear Dorothy. Dorothy, now 80 years old, still worked with the family, but only part-time. My boy is having a baby, she said, crying with joy. Dorothy, you'll be the most involved grandma in the world, Ethan teased. I'll teach them all the recipes I taught you. And all the stories too. Especially the story of how an abandoned boy became a wonderful man. 9 months later, Michael Ethan Thompson was born, a healthy baby who brought even more joy to the family. Dad, meet your grandson, Ethan said, placing the baby in Michael's arms. He's perfect, Michael whispered, moved. He'll grow up surrounded by so much love, just like you did, my son. The difference is he'll have you from birth. He'll have the luck I didn't. Ethan, you did have luck. You had it from age 7, and that made all the difference. You're right, Dad. It made all the difference. In that moment, looking at his grandson in his arms, Michael reflected on the incredible journey he'd lived. From a lonely, childless man, he'd become a father, grandfather, and the creator of an organization that changed thousands of children's lives. Ethan, what if we told our story in a book? Our story. The story of how a childless businessman found an abandoned boy, and together they discovered the true meaning of family. I like that idea, Dad. It could inspire others. And the proceeds could go to the foundation. The Boy on the Sidewalk, how's that for a title? Perfect, son. 2 years later, The Boy on the Sidewalk became a national bestseller. The true story of Michael and Ethan moved millions of readers and inspired countless adoptions. Ethan, our book has been #1 in sales for 6 months, and the foundation has received over 5 million in donations because of it. That means we can open branches in 10 more cities and create the scholarship program for adopted youth. Ethan, are you proud of the journey we've taken? So proud, Dad. From a boy crying on the street to a family that helps other families come together. It all started when I decided to stop the car that day, and everything changed when you chose to love me as your son. It was the best decision of my life, Ethan. Mine too, Dad. Mine too. On that late afternoon, father and son walked through the garden of the house where Ethan had grown up. Little Michael Ethan played on the lawn under Mrs. Dorothy's watchful eye. Dad, thank you for saving me. Thank you for saving me, my son. We saved each other. And now we save other families through our work. That's our life's mission, Dad. As long as there are children in need of love and families willing to love, we'll be here. Always together. Always together, my son. The sun set, painting the sky gold, wrapping that special family in a warm light that symbolized the journey of love, resilience, and hope they had built together. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of Michael and Ethan's story. Do you believe love can truly transform lives just as it did for them? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other heartwarming stories that touch the soul.